hi, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Tiki Talk Show. I'm Ryley.
And I'm Ellie.
And this week we had the pleasure of sitting down with Josh and Babz Collins. Josh and Babz Collins might not be a name that our American audience is very familiar with, but I know for our international audience, you're likely very familiar with them. So for anyone who might not be aware of Josh and Babz or not be as familiar with them, they've been involved in the tiki scene for over 30 years. They helped start a bar back in 2000 that is completely and totally tiki. I mean, they were opening and helping places start back at a time in America where very, very few bars were opening up, and most of the classic places were still at risk of going away. They've been involved in a lot of different music scenes, and this was just a really, really fun interview for us to do.
Yeah, we talk about, Josh and Babz are both from England, and we talk about them coming up there, being really heavily involved in the music scene, and Babz in the fashion world. Their interest in kind of just all things 60s and kooky and wild and fun, and eventually their transition over to Australia in the early 2000s and how they brought their love of all of those mid-century wild, fun, crazy things along with the tropical paradises that we all know and love, and created some really amazing bars in Australia.
I think one of the really fun parts about this interview is the tiki story is so heavily focused on America, but it wasn't just an American phenomenon back in the mid-century. And so we do even get into that of what places did Australia have back then. We talk about some of those locations, how they were able to find some of those pieces from those long-lost tiki bars, restaurants, and everything else. And so it was really fun just to see how tiki has evolved over the years outside the United States. So, I mean, we talk about a ton, and this is a really great interview. Without further ado, over to them.
Hi, and welcome back to the Tiki Talk Show. I'm Ellie.
And I'm Ryley.
And today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Josh and Babz Collins, all the way from Australia. How are you both?
Hey, how are you guys?
Oh, yeah, in the warm sunshine today.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I guess it would be because since it's our winter and everything.
Exactly, yeah. I think it's like 25 degrees here or something today. Centigrade, that is.
Well, it's about 25 degrees here, but Fahrenheit, so a little bit colder.
So can you guys just start by giving yourself a little bit of an introduction and telling us how you got into kind of the tiki, the vintage, retro, all of that kind of stuff?
Very much. Sorry. Anyway, I'm Josh Skipper or Sinbad. Sinbad is actually my middle name because I was the seventh child of a sailor, so he did call me Sinbad, which is pretty good. Josh Sinbad Collins. And it was always my birthday treat to go to Trader Vic's. So that really got me in. And even when I was 12, 13, they'd give me a whopping cocktail and get me drunk. So it kind of walked me from a young age and kept me going. And then I met Babz on her 19th birthday, and we're very much into the sort of 60s music and surf music and, frat and rock and roll and that whole sort of scene. So really Tiki was always a part of that, wasn't it? We always used sort of tikis in, old Scooby-Doos and Elvis movies and stuff, but really had no idea that it had a tiki name till the late 90s.
I was very much into retro fashions from the 50s and 60s. I graduated from school and went into fashion school and started my own business when I was about 17. Had a stall in Camden Market, and my clothes were getting more and more into 60s style and everything. So that kind of led into the music, which is very important to us, and also everything that went along with that whole thing. So the tiki scene was obviously very big at that time. So
and obviously we make our money through tiki bars and have developed quite a history of stuff like that. But we're not just into tiki, we're into music, mod, rock and roll, jungle movies. I love a lot of tropical music from all over, Brazilian, African, kind of collect tunes from all around the world, really. And I think you can see that if you see pictures of the LuWow now, it's like a hodgepodge potpourri of tropical glamour, really. I
Yeah.
think as much as anything. Yeah, there is definitely a lot of Hawaiian, Papua New Guinea, Tahitian, Cook Islands kind of influence in there, Marquesas and stuff particularly. But there will also be African stuff. We don't really have a filter,
Yeah.
just keep putting stuff in there that looks good.
Yeah. So you were saying that you both met you were both met in London originally, if I'm correct on that. And
Yeah.
then music was a big part for both of you, and eventually kind of you worked your way into hosting something called the Frat Shack from the late 1980s to the early 90s. Can you tell us how you started doing that? The music that you were playing, what kind of drew you, and then the crowd that you both would draw out from that and trying to bring back as kind of
Yeah,
like 60s
sure.
stuff?
We used to go to a lot of the mod clubs in London, and we also went to some of the rockabilly clubs and stuff, and it all seemed to be a little bit stifled in there. There was like, you had to sort of dress a certain way to be in the mod
and
scene or in the
quite
rockabilly
aggro as
scene.
well. There was definitely, you didn't feel safe if you weren't part of the crew in these places, and we were quite wild art school kids, so
We always sort of looked a little bit different to everyone else, and some people accepted it and some people didn't, and so we thought, oh God, there's all this other music that we're really into, and we just like to express that a bit more openly and stuff. So that's why we started our own clubs. And actually the first club we started was called the Gorilla Go-Go.
yeah. So that was all.
Before the Frat Shack.
The go-go dancers had costumes made out of bananas, and we had a guy in a
really?
gorilla outfit playing the tom-toms, and yeah,
We were really influenced by the party scenes from a lot of 60s movies and stuff, and we kind of always really wanted to recreate that color and just the craziness that was going on. So that was our kind of real
films like the Party with Peter Sellers,
that's
like
the
Pigeon-Toed Orange Peel Club in Play Misty for Me, and we'd project all these party scenes and hundreds of beach movies all over the walls as well, and try and make props kind of based on that. So hence the tiki stuff would really creep in, because you'd see all these beach party kind of things. You go, oh, we're gonna have one of those,
And gradually people from those scenes discovered us, and they were kind of, those who were a little bit more, I don't know, adventurous, more gregarious.
We collected all the losers and rejects.
And they all started coming to our clubs and stuff, so
we'd always have there'd always be a very good big gay side involved as well. We'd have drag, and it kind of was a real mishmash, really like the bars are today.
We used to have male go-go dancers as well as female go-go dancers, keeping it.
The only problem with male go-go dancers is they'd always get picked up and whisked away, and you'd never see them again.
But we still carried on going to the mod clubs and the rockabilly clubs as well, and always used to give out. I mean, then there was no internet, there was no other way of telling people apart from giving out flyers at gigs and clubs and stuff. So that was our kind of weekly thing, just going out and giving flyers for our clubs and getting people to come along.
Yeah.
And in London at that time, you went out every night of the week. So you went to a club.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But maybe not Sunday.
It was-
There would have been something at the market on Sunday.
Pretty fab time to be there in London, young in London, and doing what we were doing.
So in America, from everything that we understand by talking to people in America and Los Angeles or New York, is that looking back to the 60s at that time period, nobody was into that. Nobody thought to look back to the mid 60s or to think about what your parents were doing. Was there, and it was a lot of people kind of got bad reviews by doing certain things. Was the reception positive? I mean, it sounds like it was, but were people interested in that time period as much, or was it they were just curious about creative people doing?
Yes, you see, London, you've always had the swinging London thing bubbling underground, and those people were all still around, and if you went to the charity shop to look for clothes, the best clothes were the 60s ones, and they were the cheapest as well, and the records were there, and a lot of the bands were still, the Downliner Sex, the John's Children, the Artwoods,
Johnny Kidd and the
Johnny Kidd, the Trolls,
still around,
they were playing.
Yeah.
you know, in pubs, screaming all
But
such.
London's always really thrived on underground scenes and stuff, you know. So I mean, it certainly wasn't a mainstream by any way to be into the 60s stuff or 50s stuff at that point. But you kind of found the people who you're, who are into the same stuff, you know, through the clubs, through the gigs, and you know, you've sort of fed from there, really. You know, it was,
Yeah. So I don't remember any negative kickback, but it wasn't hugely popular. But you know, there's always been an element of swinging London to London, and there still is. You know,
the psychobilly thing was taking off there. There was a pretty big sort of, you know, a ska scene was going on. You know, it's lots of little different factions and stuff, and sometimes it would all come together. And we kind of tried to encompass a lot of that in the Frat Shack.
Yeah, the Jamaican element has always been a massive influence in London, you know. So you've always had really good cheap rum, for instance, which makes it, you know, makes it good, and you know, really good cheap Jamaican food and music, and still do. I think the Jamaican influence is still massive in London, you know.
And luckily, finding records there actually was, you know, at that time it was pretty cheap to find records, you know, in like they'd be little
more of them.
This is it, you know, we're complete record nutters, you know. We've got thousands of records that, you know, we just still collect them and still find new stuff now, which is just new stuff, new old stuff. It's just amazing how much stuff was released at that point, you know.
So I'm a huge record collector as well, but I have now the luxury of the internet, where if I find an old obscure rockabilly record, I could probably find something on that. I'm sure, so I remember reading about Intoxica Records there in London. I know that was probably a little bit later. But when were you just going off of pure sound? You'd go into the sound booth and listen, or was there certain things that you were trying to learn about, or certain musicians, or was it just anything that caught your fancy at the time?
No. If there's the word Watusi or pygmy or you know, jungle or twist or something like that in the title, then you know you're onto a winner.
You had to buy records blind though a lot. I mean, nobody really had listening booths then at that point. You know, they didn't even want you to listen to the records, so you did have to just feel your way through it, and you had to buy a lot of
the right record shops would go, I saved this for you because I knew you'd like it, you know.
That's it. Yeah.
So Intoxica, I ended up rebuilding the whole of Intoxica Tiki style once, and that was one of our real kind of filters. You know, they would always go, "Oh, Josh, you've got to hear this." You know, we've got the
Toxica record shop.
Toxica record shop had an art gallery, and I did 2 or 3 art shows there after having decked it up, and we made animatronic Menahoonies for the window, and there
was a few record collectors shops of Sounds That Swing, wasn't there, in Camden as well. We ended up working with those guys
that was amazing.
Events. So you sort of, you know, you were reliant on these record shops to source stuff as well, and hopefully, you know, push you in the right direction of what you wanted to buy. But you know, we did used to find pretty good records in op shops and things then as well, which was it's unheard of now.
So then your musical taste obviously drove a lot of this for you guys. And then in the late 1990s, you hosted the first Wild Weekend there in London. Can you kind of talk to us what this whole weekend music festival was all about, how you decided to host it, and what went into it?
Well, I was, we should have mentioned this earlier. I did theatre design at Central St. Martin. So, we had a very good tap into theatrical people and props and stuff. And they're always making props. And we noticed there was the Cave Stomp. We went to the Demolition Derby in Los Angeles, where we met Otto and Baby Doe and Shag and Lee from Dionysus. And I don't think we met Sven then. I think we met Sven a bit later. But
is that because of the Diabolics?
Because of the Diabolics.
Yeah, so my band, the Diabolics, at the time, was invited over by Lee to go and play the Demolition.
Yeah. And we did 2 weeks in Hawaii before that, and then came to LA. So we completely saturated, but still no one in Hawaii called it tiki. You know, it was there were tikis and bars that were tiki bars, obviously in retrospect, but it wasn't a movement called tiki as far as I knew till we met Otto and got a copy of Tiki News and went, hey, wow, look, it's this thing called tiki. We've always been into it. We didn't know what it was, but now here it is, you know. So that was quite an eye opener. And Shag was playing in. He's in Huntington Cads, and he was
Yeah.
in Tiki Tones.
Yeah.
You know, they both those bands played at that same night in Demolition Derby, along with the Diabolic. So, yeah, we got a bit of an eye opener.
Yeah, it was really great to meet people who are into similar stuff as us, and actually put a name to the scene that we were like getting into.
And at the same time, there was John Rice was in New York, and he was doing an amazing festival there called the Cave Stomp, bringing bands like the Sonics and the Wailers and Question Mark and the Mysterians. And so we went, oh shit, no one's doing this in Europe. We better do it. So we put the first one together, and Question Mark came over, Liars came over. Already at the Frat Shack, we'd had bands like the Mummies and Phantom Surfers and Untamed Youth, and whenever they're on tour, the Headcoats, the Rosillos, the Squares. You know, we would be the kind of stop place if a cool band was coming through London. You know, we would, if we didn't have one planned, we'd make sure there was one at that time.
Yeah.
And just seemed to make sense to put it all together.
So yeah, so the Wild Weekend was 3 nights or 4 nights, I can't remember, in different venues in London.
Yes.
4 nights, culminating with Question Mark of the Mysterians on the last night, which was just amazing. And those guys had never left the States before, so they didn't have passports. I think
Question Mark refused to take his glasses off for a photo for his passport, so they had to hold him down and take his glasses off and I had to get the passport photo. You know.
So it was complete first for them, you know, and it was just such a fantastic gig, you know, and they blew us all away. They sounded exactly how they did in the 60s and stuff, so that was fantastic.
and some crazy Belgium guy came to that first World Weekend, and he was like, I really like all your decor, especially the kind of tiki stuff. And then he basically paid me to come over to Belgium and build, you know, a tiki bar over there. So that was tiki. So that was my first real permanent tiki. I say permanent, I didn't think it lasted more than about 4 years, but permanent-ish, i.e. not setting up a tiki bar for the night and then taking it all down and setting it back up again. And
Right.
I mean,
Which was what the Frat Shack was.
Yeah,
Take over a venue, deck it all out in all the decor, and run the night, and then have to go with a huge hangover the next day and take it all down, pack it away.
Frat Shack had big light up tiki head drums. We had palm trees with light up coconuts on them. We had a full-size shark. The shark was enormous, and it actually swam. It had a motor that made the tail, and so we just hit people in the head. They were going past, you know, dying.
They'd certainly remember their night at the Frat Shack. They'd have bruises.
We'd have fez parties and, you know, always theme stuff up, but it always had a kind of tropical-ish theatrical. I mean, there's a British film called Carry On Up the Jungle. I don't know if you're familiar with the Carry On movies, but, you know, they're a sort of British comedy tradition. Very worth. You've got to see Carry On Up the Jungle. And Carry On Screaming is amazing as well.
Good one.
I sent Shag one of those for Christmas because he hadn't seen it either. And I said, you got to see this film.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
So your Wild Weekends ran until 2005. Did you know that they were going to keep coming back year after year? Or was that first one just like...
It was never necessarily a year by year basis. I mean, you know, it was just whenever.
It was
sometimes it was 2 years, sometimes. So we did 98. Yeah, we did 5 in 7 years. So that's almost a yearly thing. Yeah. And then
the first one was in London, though, and then we moved it down to the South Coast because we suddenly started looking at some of the other. There were some rockabilly festivals around that were sort of residential ones. Everyone would go and stay there. And we thought, oh, this is a great idea. Let's find a holiday camp kind of thing, which is a very British thing as well. And take that over. Everyone comes to stay, and then everyone's there for the whole thing rather than just coming for one night. And that was the second one down in Canberra Sands in a caravan park. So everyone had to stay in these funny little caravans. It poured with rain the whole time you were there.
It was knee deep in water. To get between the caravans and the music venue, you were literally knee deep in water.
So wearing their pristine little go-go boots, you know, having to like go through the mud. It was just a bit of a nightmare, but everyone had a great time anyway.
So then we moved down to Benidorm, which was
in Spain.
My band was in some horrible punk band called the Sidekicks, and we played there. And I said, this is great, these big hotels. And, so if you get to a resort off season, they just love you. Like, it's brilliant. You can come in, they'll look after you, you're bringing people to their business. And it was cheaper to basically fly to Benidorm, have 4 days of partying there and fly back, including your hotel, than it would have been to go out for 4 nights in a row in London,
Yeah.
So it worked really well.
Yeah. So we had 4, I think,
4,
in Benidorm.
By the last one, we had 1 child, and Babz was heavily pregnant with the last one, so it wasn't great for the go-go dancing.
Yeah. I ended up just driving the monks around. We had the monks play at that last one there,
really?
which was quite amazing.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah. They were such lovely guys, and
the go-nuts with their food fight. We've seen.
God, yeah.
Always have a massive food fight. We had to fill a van, a white van, full of cake, just for them. They said, and we're not going on stage till this van is full of food.
But the place where we had it was a casino in Benidorm, and it had beautiful marble floors. But you can imagine the sugar and the beer mixing together on that marble floor. It was like an ice rink. So it was just a bit insane, wasn't it? But hey, everyone had a great time, I think.
So you said you did 5 in those 7 years, but then you brought the Wild Weekend back in 2019. What was it like to kind of revisit that again, and what maybe changed from those first few years?
Oh,
we just got better at it. We've done a lot of events. If you think down in Australia, at one point we had 2 clubs on different sides of the continent, each of them putting on 3 nights entertainment and, with dancers, with at the same time. So we were just very, very slick at it. We had an amazing wardrobe. I mean, Babs's costumes are always super awesome, whether she's doing, an event, so
I'll make all the go-go outfits and everything for her.
So. Amazing.
A lot of fun with that.
Yeah, of dancers and bands and stuff.
Yeah, we certainly weren't idle between the 2 Wild Weekends. We had the 2 children, and then we had 3 businesses here in Australia.
And you fated theme park idea.
Yeah.
An ill-fated theme park, but so like you say, we just became very, very good at running nights and knowing how to deck out a place, and knowing what works, with the bands versus the DJs kind of thing, with the go-go dancers and stuff. But a lot of the people who were around, who came to all those first Wild Weekends, all came flocking back to us. And we didn't do it in Benidorm. We went to Mallorca this time. I went and scouted a really great hotel in Mallorca.
That's the best buffet. The best buffet.
And again, everyone stays there. So everyone's on holiday mode, and wanting to party. So it's,
and again, not necessarily tiki, but has very large influences. We got the guys from Tiki Chateau to do a tiki bar there the time before, so there was a big tiki element. In our book, there's that, the big tiki that I got for my 18th birthday. There's that big mask there, which came out of the Festival of Britain in 1951, and my sister found it in a dumpster. And it's as high as me. It's, I'm a big guy, and it's like this. So we've carted that all around everywhere we go, and it's always in the whatever newish bar we do.
Our tiki mascot.
So we made some fiberglass casts of that to put around the venue, and not entirely a tiki event, very much a retro crazy ass fink party, but with a big tiki element to it.
Yeah. Wow. So I want to jump back a little bit. I know we're kind of jumping around on timeline here. So
That's fine.
Oh, please, it's much better.
We got to keep it fun. So you talked about Dionysus, and you talked about Tiki News. So you were both in Europe at the time. How were you finding out about these events and then these publications? Because we've talked to people who were 10 miles away from Otto who had no idea till much later on. So how were you finding out about these things that were going on in America during this time period?
Through the bands, through the music, like I said, it was Dionysus Derby, and then I subscribed to Tiki News after that. So we were getting stuff, and I was corresponding with Otto simultaneously at the same time. And at the same time, we did a big festival in Las Vegas called Las Vegas Grind. So the Develettes came in, Otto came in. The first one, he drove us straight to Oceanic Arts, and we filled a lorry with all the decor that we could find there.
We did meet Otto and Baby Doe. We went to Viva Las Vegas.
Yes.
With those guys, because we said, look, we've been asked to do a sort of a garagey 60s version of Viva Las Vegas in Las Vegas. So would you guys come and help us with the decor and stuff, you know? So we had a great weekend with them too in Viva Las Vegas back in whenever.
And therefore, and also Audrey Moorhead. I don't know if you've encountered her. She was very much just run on the 60s scene in LA and was running her own TV show and with Dominic Priore. Is that name popped up?
Yeah.
So
100%.
Dominic and Audrey were running this kind of crazy club with Dionysus and Otto and Shag and all these people, you know, kind of there with the LA scene, you know, of that. I mean, Dionysus, Shag was doing all the artwork for Dionysus Records at the time. Yeah. So he coincidentally did the artwork for Pervarella, which was our second feature film. The Dionysus released the soundtrack, but Josh was the one that did all the artwork for that. He was like the in-house graphic designer at Dionysus at that time.
And actually, just stepping back with getting how we knew about some of the music and stuff. So there were quite a lot of compilations coming out at the time. There were the Girls in the Garage records. There were the Crypt compilations, Back from the Grave and everything. So these were being distributed through London as well and through all the record shops. And that was amazing to find
these surf ones.
That was a great starting point. It's like, oh my God, listen to these records. You know, we buy these compilation albums and then try and find the singles or you know, records that were similar to that.
And again, they might not have been tiki themed, but they were jungle themed or exotica themed, or, you know, so you would find they discovered new bands that were doing that sort of sound, like the Tiki Tones or whatever, but also the old music at the same time. Las Vegas grind compilations, you see, they're very, very instrumental in this whole thing, you know, and not being just a sort of 3-chord garage kind of thing. They really did bring elements of jazz and exotica into those records.
And the Born Bad ones as well, wasn't it?
Ones,
kind of, so that was a great, that fed our desire of all these like amazing records and things. So and that's how we met.
So really through the Las Vegas grind, and we discovered Oceanic Arts through that, and you know, really they're so nice, those people, and really their stuff was pretty bloody cheap. It was cheaper to buy stuff off Oceanic Arts than it was for me to make it, almost, you know. And I mean, I had early days, I had some builders in the Philippines, so I would just send them the most ridiculous crappy little drawings, doodles, and then I'd get Tiki's back. It was genius, you know?
From that picture.
It was so cheap, you know. There was this whole village making tikis in the Philippines.
Really? Wow.
Shipping it over.
Do you still have some of those around?
So yes, there's a few around. I'm trying to think.
That's amazing.
The LuWow. Trying to see if there's one here. That's what
it's no worry. I was just curious. I mean, that's really amazing that you're able to find these people who are willing to, you know, they see a sketch and they're like, okay, I know what you want. I'll do the rest.
Yeah, it might not be exactly what I envisioned, but it was still pretty good. You know?
Yeah. So another thing I want to ask about, so Babz, you are a big fan of mid-century design and fashion. So you started something called Babzotica Boutique. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about that? I know you mentioned it previously. Would you mind kind of telling that and maybe how that developed over the time?
Sure. So when I left college, I had a stall in Camden Market, selling my designs and stuff. And then we got a big warehouse together, didn't we, in Shoreditch in London. And I had a workshop there. There weren't, even though you could find 60s clothes at the time, nobody was making anything retro really at the time. So I came up with a concept of amending patterns and buying fabrics and making 60s designs and 50s stuff. It was a mail order catalogue to begin with, which crossed over from rockabilly to mod, and everything in between. But as I say, there was no internet, so I literally had to post out this catalogue to people who had, I don't know how they even found out about me. I think just once again through flyers and through just a network throughout Europe. And then they had to order clothes from me, or they could come into my shop. So that was, yeah. It was all kind of
And I had a
divided,
little
really.
props and film studio there, and we also built a recording studio called Toe Rag Music that's still kind of going in some form or other, sort of merged into Regent Sound now. So
Oh yeah, it has, hasn't it?
yeah, so we did a lot of, again, we just record, all the bands would come to London, play the Frat Shack, record at the studio, get outfits from Babz, get a music video made by me, you know, it's kind of an
It was a
all-in-one
whole
package. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And I kind of carried on with Babzotica until I moved to Australia. Once again, I had a great little boutique, very colourful, and this is before Shoreditch kind of became a kind of hipster mecca. And I've just carried on with the go-go costumes. I make all the uniforms for the uniforms. I say uniforms, but in all our bars, I've always made the costumes.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
So, like, for instance, this one, the LuWow.
So all our bars, the
girls
staff are
have-
always no black t-shirts here, you know. They
Yeah.
have proper.
And we print our own fabrics as well. So we design them, you know, and print them, and then I'll make shirts and dresses for the staff. And people are always coming in and asking me, can I buy one of those? And I'm like, no, you've got to come and work here to own one of those. But
That's awesome.
but hey, one day maybe I'll.
We're always sourcing fabrics as well. I mean, we travel a lot. My mother lived in Casablanca for years. So wherever we go, you're always straight to the fabric shops, and what can you find? And I recommend that to anyone. The fabric shops are always in really interesting parts of town you'd never go to otherwise. You know, it's always an eye opener. I mean, the ones in Casablanca, you can imagine how great they are. You know, still are that good. I was there not long ago, and it was amazing.
Wow.
That's awesome.
East LA is awesome as well. Isn't it? Those fabric shops down in downtown LA.
I've been to the fashion district down there and looked through the stalls and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something.
And next level menswear as well. That's what deep from the Untamed Youth told me to go there. And it was like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
You get complete like Paul Revere and the Raiders outfits made out of glitter and things.
I know. Oh man. Whatever your heart wants, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's funny, some of the Babzotica clothes have been cropping up. A few people write to me sometimes. They found a Babzotica original in you know, and it's being sold as a 60s piece.
Oh, really?
Rather than, which is great. I mean, I you know, I take that as a huge compliment.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you both were just focused on multimedia. That's what people like to call it: the music, the art, the design, the kind of the full encompassing and everything.
Yeah,
and
the carving thing as well. You know, it was carving. I mean, I was getting this stuff from the Philippines, but I was carving a lot at the same time. You know, we did tiki toilet seats. That was my kind of great idea.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? Actually, I think everyone would love to hear about
They
that.
tend to fall apart a little bit if you sat on them too heavy. And I got an order for 100 tiki toilet seats to go to New Zealand. This woman was like, "Oh, that was brilliant." And then she went back to New Zealand and consulted a few Maori friends who said, "Nuh-uh. This is not what you want to be doing with our deities. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
Sure.
So that was a very early example of a respectful cultural appreciation there.
Absolutely. So I want to jump again, moving forward a little bit more to 2001. So so at the time in America, I mean, Tiki was on the kind of the cusp of the revival. Tiki News had just finished. The first Tiki Oasis just started, but the Book of Tiki had just come out. But you both, so you opened South London Pacific, which if anyone listening to this has not seen pictures of, it is amazing. Before recording, we were saying that this is a bar seemingly 10 years ahead of its time in terms of complexity, the amazing decor that you did. Could you talk about the decision-making process of why you wanted to start this and then everything that went into this? Because it really is an amazing location.
Well, we didn't start that. So that was started by a guy called Hulko van der Ploeg, who was an ex-Dutch porn star who was still and he designed a range of velvet underwear that was kind of very cool. And he ran a club called Club Montepulciano that was a sort of playboy, swingers,
Kind of
lounge,
music.
And he said, I want to get a permanent spot. This was just as we were about to move to Australia. So I said, well, look, we got loads of stuff that's up for grabs, really.
That we were using in the frat shack and stuff. Yeah.
I think we had 2 weeks pre-carving for that and 2 weeks to build the whole thing. And before we went in, it was a very, very loud neon gay bar called the Cock.
But in an old pub, wasn't it?
Funnily enough, it's now reverted back to being a very loud neon gay bar called the Cock. It was just South London Pacific.
Still
for
a few tikis in there.
That's what's quite funny. One of the ones we built here, the first LuWow, is now a pet barn. That's like a pet shop, and there's still the odd tiki in there.
Oh, really?
Still lurking.
So even though we built South London Pacific, we didn't actually run it. So after building it, we then moved to Australia.
Yeah.
And it went for quite a few years, didn't it?
So we went
South
out there a
London
couple of
Pacific.
times, and
They would have gigs on there. They'd have retro nights and everything. So it was run a long time.
a bit of life there. And again, the Gunning the Grog Glogger quite hit when we opened that. So there really was no recipes for these tiki drinks. It was more, I don't know, mango mojitos, and it was still floundering a bit. There was no real direction there. I mean, things like the Singapore Sling was certainly on the menu, but and a basic Mai Tai, but no one really knew what went into a sodding Mai Tai until
it's just a guessing game, really.
Yeah. So interesting there, because that really was, but 2 years later, everyone was bang on with the drinks thanks to the Grog Glog.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're saying that after this, then you moved to Australia, but kind of in that interim, I understand that you traveled around the South Pacific quite a bit and got to really experience the Polynesian culture. Can you just give us a few of the highlights from that trip and what that was like?
Oh,
With so many.
That was amazing.
Anyone got to do it. You guys, get out of Baltimore. Get your canoe out.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the islands that we went to and stuff, we had to get onto a cargo ship to one of them. There was no other way of getting there.
Yeah, we did a talk about all this at the last Tiki Oasis, which was really good fun.
Wow.
Actually, it was really good.
Yeah.
Telling tall tales. We got some good slides.
Every island we went to, we kind of tried to find out a tiki carver there. And we would go and meet him in his hut and
through
stuff.
Tiki News, I knew I had some good leads, because someone had stopped off in Rarotonga and then done a little article for Tiki News about the guy that lived there and what he'd done, and he would then say, "Oh, you should go and see my cousin on this island." So we would, highlights for me, definitely Huahine. Have you heard of Huahine?
No.
It's like there's Bora Bora, which is basically Bora Bora basically means penis, and next to penis is Huahine, which means vagina, and that's it's like an island like that with a long lagoon in the middle, and it
lives up to its name.
Not Bora Bora's all the big millionaire tourists. Huahine, just much more locals island, And one thing with the South Pacific, and you see this all over, is because it's a matriarchy. you know, the women will be the ones at the bar being really boisterous and knocking back beers and playing pétanque, and the men will be more like chilling out down the back having a coffee. And it's a very cool reversal, you know. So, you know, if you're at the bar, you know, a woman would come up to you, "Hey, boy, what are you doing?" You know, you get sort of chatted up. Like, quite.
We'd heard that Sven had travelled to the Marquesas
Yep.
as well. So that was kind of the most remote one that we went to.
We saw him when he just got back from his first trip on the boat, you know, around the Marquesas. So he said, "I'll go here, go there." So he gave us a few tips as well. But I mean, I think the Marquesas really is. I mean, if you're into tiki, you just got to go there. I mean, the carvings are insane. I mean, they're so good, and there's people like, people still carving them.
Josh is just going to grab a tiki that we bought from a carver there, and it's just the craftsmanship in it is just amazing. Yeah, it's just stunning. I can't do that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so he's got so much character as well. Oh,
isn't it really good?
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. And you know, we watched the guy carve it in front of us.
Really?
We went like basically backpacking.
That's amazing.
And we ended up with like 4 massive bags full of tikis.
So fun.
Wow, that's
so beautiful. That much stuff.
Yeah.
I think Marquesas and Huahine, they were my highlights. Cook Islands, great as well. It's an island called Attu that's a coral reef that's risen from the bottom of the ocean floor. So you know how islands sink. This one's done the opposite and it's come up. So you're in the jungle and you're in the coral reef and it's like big bits of coral, but you know, the jungle's kind of claiming it over. And we went there through with a, he was a guide, but he was very unguideful. He tried to shoot a pig. There was a pig, and we were like next to him, and he shot the pig, and the bullet just bounced off the pig's head and just flew past my ear. And then he goes, "Come in this tunnel," and he went down this tiny little, a little shaft. You could you go down that way, and you bend your legs back and that, and then we're in the dark, crunching around, and he likes some candle nuts. Have you seen candle nuts?
Oh.
They're like this is very common in South Pacific as well. So like a big macadamia, and you get a string of them, and you light the bottom one, and it's very oily, so it burns. And then when the first one's kind of soldering, it lights the second one. So like a little ready-made torch, really, that you can find anywhere in the jungle.
Wow.
And then the whole place was full of bones. This whole tiny cave was absolutely packed full of human skeletons. And we were just crunching around on people's heads and going, "Oh no." And again, they don't really know. There's several stories about how this might have happened, but no one really knows for sure. It's actually really primitive, and there's no bars there. If you want to drink, you go and sit in the jungle and have these little lean-tos where more men actually than women this time, so different society, but they make a beer, jungle beer, bush beer it's called, out of orange juice or whatever, they've coconut water or whatever they got, they ferment it and make this kind of bush beer. So no cocktails really. And in fact, very, very few places. I mean, if you're in Fiji, you're lucky if you get an ice cube, really, let alone a cocktail.
Yeah. Yeah, I find it funny when I see some people go like, "Oh, I'm heading to the Pacific," and they'll go to like a remote island. Like, what tiki bars are there? And it's like, you're in the Pacific. You don't need a tiki bar anymore. You're in paradise. You don't need it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, every bar's a yachty bar is the nearest thing you find where I'll have a few nautical items hanging up. You know, that's the nearest.
Well, some of the sort of hotels and stuff we stayed in though as well, they would have really beautiful carvings.
Yes.
Sometimes, by local artists. And we kind of made sure we took photos of them all for reference and, for inspiration. And really beautiful painting and fabric designs and stuff as well,
Tanner's nuts as well in Vanuatu, the island of Tanner. It's a great big active volcano in the middle. I mean, you go up
Vanuatu.
You go up the volcano and there's literally like a little bit of bamboo on 2 bamboos with 1 bamboo across the top, and that's the safety. You can't. It's on the edge of the crater. And you'll be there and it'll go like bang, and a piece of lava the size of a car will just shoot out into the air, and you'll be like, Oh, where's that going? Oh, we're all right.
Yeah, your guide is like saying, "Oh, that's okay. There was a much bigger one last week."
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like, okay. You'd wake up in the morning, your sheets would be covered in like a sort of dust of
Ash, yeah, you'd be
ash.
covered in ash. You'd be
Yeah.
covered in ash.
Yeah.
And there's
Wow.
the John Frum village on Tanner. Do you know John Frum?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're all there. Like, we
Good.
could see them marching up and down and being soldiers and
Wow.
stuff like
Yeah.
that, you know.
Did you hear any of the music while you're out there? I've listened for the last couple of months. I've been loved the John Frum music, all the chants and everything they do out there. I don't know if you had a chance to see any of
They
that.
make all the stringed instruments are made from fishing line.
Yeah,
So it gives it this kind of real jingle, doesn't it? You get that
It does.
kind of
Yeah.
sound to it. So
it's
Yeah, most
amazing.
islands did have, you know, people who made ukuleles and stuff, wasn't it?
but
You know,
always from
so
fishing line, they can't get
Yeah.
guitar strings. So.
yeah.
Yeah. I was listening a couple of months ago. This person that I follow on Instagram, she goes to the Pacific Islands. She went to one of the John Frum kind of the colonies out there, and just the music that they sing and everything. And I was just obsessed with it. And so I found every video I could to listen to all this stuff.
So
and
does
it's
it have
amazing.
like a USGI kind of flavor to it? Or?
It does. It does. And if
Ah.
anyone's listening to this and you don't know about the John Frum, I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it? I mean, it really is very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and you could see how religions form, really, can't you? It doesn't take much. You know?
Yeah.
Washing machine and a Jeep, and you're away.
Exactly. So after this, again, jumping forward a little bit more, so you open your first bar in Australia in 2005.
Well, the Zombie
sorry.
Zoo's got to come in next because we arrived in Australia.
Yes.
We really didn't want to move to the city.
that's
I wanted
right.
a bit of land, so we got a bit of land. And up the road, there was a deserted theme park that'd been around no one had been in there for at least 10 years, you know. And it was owned by a crazy Croatian concrete magnate who'd forced all his kids to work there as kids. And he couldn't say Disneyland, so it was called Disneyland Park, you know, because we're in a heavy Croatian Disneyland.
It didn't have roller coasters or anything. It was
Had a
kind
big,
of
had a
very
big
much
wheel, had a
big wheel.
go-kart. It had a castle,
Yeah.
had some lakes with the Statue of Liberty in the middle of it, had a zoo with just full of dead animals. There was no live animals.
was like
the
creepy,
fleas,
yeah.
the fleas were very much alive. But so we took over this thing, about 50 acres, started managing it. So they had, you know, loads of old trucks and cranes and diggers that were just abandoned there, and go-karts. And so we started kind of landscaping it, you know. Started building the Ghoulie Golf and the Awful Aquarium and the Parrot Castle, not the Parrot Castle. Started doing all this, but we never got past the locals. We ended up with some real horrible hit. We were out of London. Everyone's gonna love the fun of the Zombie Zoo. No, they didn't. They absolutely hated it. And
We had to put planning permissions in, didn't we,
Yeah.
with the council and stuff. And then the locals got, you know, thought, oh my God, it's going to be a zombie zoo. It's just going to be some crazy rave of
from this
zombies.
drink,
around.
because
Yeah.
the
From the zombie
Australian
that's what
zombie
they
is
did with it.
literally, you become a zombie through drinking the zombie, you know. That's their kind of, and it was an expression for a totally drunk idiot, you know, as a zombie, you know. So
Yeah.
opening the zombie zoo is maybe not the wisest thing, but we had all the
It is-
roundabouts still worked, but they were too dangerous to put anyone on. So we thought, we'll just put zombies on them. We had a zoo full of dead animals anyway. We thought, well, let's just sort of bring them half back to life with a bit of animatronics and kind of call it have a kraken in the lake and bands in the middle. It was more like a pleasure garden, very much based on Daniel Ball's Tiki. You know,
Yeah.
it's got tiki
Tiki
gardens,
gardens,
you know, they
yeah.
did the tiki gardens. So
Yeah,
that was real. I
yeah.
read that and I thought, this is what I want to do. You know, I'm going to build a volcano and have dancing girls.
But it was in a very kind of outback part of Australia. I mean, not completely outback, but it was like a beyond suburban
Yeah,
part
beyond
of Perth, where they just weren't very open-minded at all.
we got death threats. We got people threatening to
Really?
shoot us. We got
Bit full on.
exposés on the news, you know, the threat
Wow.
of London nightclub life coming to the outback Australia. Kind of like,
Wow.
so that was so we gave that up and found a tiny little bar. And this time there's no little bars. I mean, Australia really did not have a bar scene at all. It had a pub scene. So, and the
Well,
pubs are
certainly in
huge.
Western
Yeah,
Australia, wasn't
they're
it?
huge. You know, they're just a massive room here and a massive room there, and a gambling room, and
Usually horribly brightly lit
Mm.
and really zero decor, or just not very nice. Just big drinking barns, really.
Yeah. So we grabbed a little tiny bar, and we had a whole theme park worth of decorations that I spent 2 years going. Tiki's, and there was unlimited wood up there. There was unlimited storage. We imported 2 containers of matting and bamboo from Thailand to do all this. And, I've just been carving for 2 years, really. So we just had so much shit put into a tiny little bar. Was it 15 kilometers of bamboo went into the bar. It's only 80 people.
So
So
that
yeah,
first bar
so then
there
Hula
was
Bula.
the Hula Bula,
I guess
right?
I guess our visits to Trader Vic's in the Hilton, which is no longer there, unfortunately, that was really a big influence for us with that, because that just had the most beautiful big bamboo
The best
everywhere, didn't it? It was just beautiful, that one, and it was just gorgeous that it had lasted so long. But now the
So
Hula
that was
Bula,
so Hula Bula Zombie Zoo started 2002, failed about 2004. Hula Bula started about then. It's just done 20 years.
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
continuous. Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So, but that was great as well, because we did use the grog log to come up with all our drinks menus and stuff. So
Yeah.
that was just
If
fantastic.
I had to pay Beach Bum $1 for every drink I'd sold, when he was opening Latitude 451, I was like, I'll come over and work for you for free. Let's do it, decorate it up for you, because I owe you that much.
Yeah.
Bosco didn't want me though, interfering.
So I'm just curious, what was the reception like to the cocktails? Because we've talked to quite a few people. I mean, not on the show, but just through people in Europe before, and they're like, I tried making tiki cocktails, and everyone just wanted beer, wine, or maybe some type of spirit. What was the reception like? Were people into it? Or
Really good. Really
Wow,
good. We
good.
were really, by that time, Tiki Farm was firing. So every cocktail came in a different Tiki Farm mug that was kind of suitable to what we were doing. And they'd never seen anything like this. So and we weren't doing a big place, so we had queues literally from the second we opened. We had queues down the hill trying to get in to have a suffering bastard and a suffering bastard mug. We had to take people's driving licenses because they would steal the mugs, like bang. So we would take the driving licenses. And there was one really good story where this guy, he gave us a fake license and ran off with 4 mugs. But some of the police would drink in the bar, and I knew these guys, and they said, how's it going, Josh? I said, oh, yeah, but like this arsehole, stole some mugs, and he gave me his out-of-date thing, and he goes, oh, we'll take that. And the police went round to his house at 6 a.m, banged on the door, and said, we believe you have something that belongs to the Hula Bula Bar. And they got all my mugs back for me.
Wow.
That's really good.
I guess we weren't the only it was because it was a tiki bar, but it was also because we were a tiny little cocktail bar as well, and doing really good cocktails, and there was no one else really doing that at the time.
But again, that's Beach Bum saying like you can't do a bad cocktail. You've got to do a good cocktail, and you've got to use this ingredient, this and that, and he really rams that in, that there's no horrible syrups and stuff, so we did really well.
Yeah, so we got quite a bit of press because we were so unique in Perth, wasn't it? And that just brought people in, There's always been a little bit of a rockabilly scene in Perth, hasn't it? So and a hot rod scene.
Good alternative radio that you could advertise on.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Josh would
alternative radio is really key to everything we do in terms of being able to advertise on it, Yeah. I mean, you get that college radio, don't you, in the US, so you have that. In LA, certainly got KXFM, UWZY, or whatever.
So Something I want to ask about. So, for a lot of our American listeners, when it comes to tiki outside the United States, a lot of us, I mean, truth be told, up until reading your book and then researching it myself, we don't know much about tiki outside the United States. Obviously, it was a big post-war culture in America.
Yep.
But could you maybe, I know this is kind of a side thing, could you kind of explain maybe a little bit what Australia had during the heyday? I know we talked about it a little bit before we started recording, but some of those things that maybe people remembered. So when they saw a new tiki bar open, they remembered it from maybe years past, if that makes sense.
So there was certainly, I've got the brochure here, the Beachcomber Tiki Village
Yeah.
up in
Queensland,
I think that
on the
opened
Gold Coast.
early 60s and kept going till mid 70s.
Or
Again,
mid 80s, I
I
think.
don't think they used Polynesian girls, but they had Aussie girls dressed up as Polynesian girls. And, you know, you can see that it at least had some good carvings there and, you know, the lovely pools. And that was kind of the place. Melbourne had a place called the South Seas Diner. That was a steakhouse of sorts, I suppose. Again, lots of people would go there, fish tanks, palm trees, a bit of a floor show, and that ran for quite a few years. They had a fish tank with crocodiles in that you could throw coins in, you know. I mean,
There was Smorgies, which was a chain of buffet restaurants, which some of them were done up tiki style. They were all themed, all different themes. Two of them were tiki style.
well, 3 or 4, but
Three or
yeah,
four?
so they were all tiki style, but there was fire, water, earth, and
Yeah,
candle or something, you know.
yeah. But I mean, you know, certainly no cocktails, and it was
And
just
again, we found
a
out
family buffet restaurant, really.
about them through Tiki News because there was a great big article in Tiki News about it. You know, so.
I also visited an island when I was very young, called Daydream Island, which was off the Gold Coast, isn't
Yeah.
it, up there in Queensland? And that was completely tiki. Had no idea what tiki was at that time. I didn't, but yeah, I mean, and that must have run until the late 80s, and then all gone now. So
You know, in common, I suppose, with California and stuff is you know, people do go on holiday. They go to the Cook Islands, they go to Hawaii, they go to Tahiti, they go to, you know, Papua New Guinea, they go to Vanuatu, Isle of Pines. So it is reasonably common to find tikis in junk shops, and still is, isn't it? You can still, you know, find them at flea markets, and you can still find quite good ones, you know. The other day when we were building the LuWow Lodge, we just went to get a sofa from Facebook Marketplace, you know, and then, you know, and we moved the sofa, and there was a box full of penis sheaths behind the sofa, and I said, "Wow, you got a box of penis sheaths?" And he was like, "Oh, you know what they are? Come and see this." And he opened his garage, and it was packed to the rafters full of like museum quality tiki stuff. That his father had been a trader, and he took secondhand computers out to the islands and got paid in tikis, you know. The museum, the art museum in Canberra, has an amazing
that's incredible. Yeah,
South Sea selection, really good. And the curator there comes and drinks at LuWow, so I get to chat to him a bit. But again, it's his job. He just goes around the islands and, you know, got any tikis? Go, da, 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 da. He's like, oh yeah, there's a, you know, if you're in Vanuatu, I mean, Marquesas, you will find piles of tikis by the side of the road. I mean, just, you know, they're there. They were carved for some public project that never happened, so they're left there. Or, you know, he was flying around Papua just picking up tikis, so people just give them to him, you know. So,
Wow.
quite amazing. So, you know, Canberra
So
definitely has this amazing museum.
how big the scene here was, it wasn't really. It was just, you know, people running,
Yeah.
you know, think, oh, let's give this a tropical feel, you know, and just chuck a tiki here and there and stuff, you
So
know.
Hula Bula's still going in Perth. Perth is West Coast. You've got to understand that's as far from Los
It's-
Angeles to California. It's about 5-hour flying.
York
Nothing
to
in
Los
between
Angeles.
either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a few,
Yeah.
just desert really. And so that's had another one. Do you know Tiki Beat? Are you aware of him? He's a very good local carver. He now works in Hawaii exclusively, I'm pretty sure, you know, so he's over there. He was in Brisbane, so he built this other one in Perth, there's a gallery in Melbourne called Outre Gallery that again does all the shag artwork and Rockin' Jelly Bean and all the kind of artists on the scene, the juxtaposed kind of stuff. So they were having tiki shows as well. Before there was particularly a tiki bar, there was definitely a bubbling renaissance of the art scene here in the early 2000s. You know, thanks to Juxtaposed magazine, which was pretty worldwide, wasn't it? That you familiar with that?
I am, yes.
Yeah. So they really spread that lowbrow culture, which tiki is very much a part of, you know, with the revival, doesn't it? You know, down here, Sydney's now got Jacoby's, a Twin Peaks themed tiki bar that's really good. It's got Papagetti's, which is a sort of voodoo South Pacific crossover rum bar. There's the Cliff Dive, which is a tiki themed R&B nightclub for some reason. It's nowhere near a cliff either. Brisbane's got the Jungle Bar, and up on the Surf Coast there was, God, it's called the Mai Tai or something, but that really didn't last. I met the woman who ran it. She came into my bar and she goes, "What cocktails?" I said, this. She goes, "I don't like rum." And I'm like, "Oh, God, you can't really run a tiki bar if you don't like rum." I'm not surprised.
Actually, talk about Bundaberg rum, because unfortunately the only rum that was made here in Australia for quite some years was Bundaberg rum, which, as far as we're concerned, isn't a rum.
Have you tried Bundaberg?
Yes.
It's awful.
You might run your moped on it or something.
Yeah, here in the States, it's because it's like, oh, it's made in Australia. It's this whole big thing about it. It commands a value to it. But
Okay.
we've
It
had
has a distinct taste. They distill it in a concrete still. So you know, in the same word that the Guianese uses amazing wooden stills that give hundreds of years of flavour. The Australians have managed to cheapen and industrialise the whole process to an extent. They make it in an old grain silo or something. You know,
we did come across a lot of people saying, "Oh, I don't like rum. Have you got anything else?" We're like, "You haven't tasted rum. If all you've drunk is Bundaberg, you haven't tasted it." You know, so you know, I mean, now luckily there are some beautiful rums being made here.
Really good stuff.
But yes, back when we were starting the Hula Bula Bar,
my mum used to come over from London with, you know, suitcases of rum and cocktails, because we were like, we just couldn't get it. You know, you really couldn't get it. And then we worked out we could actually import it ourselves, you know, within limited quantities. So, you know, there was no way. Now we've got everything. The world's our oyster.
Absolutely. We actually got together with Killick Rum, didn't we?
Local rum called Killick.
Yeah.
Very, very good. I think I saw they had some at Smugglers Cove, so it is kind of spreading out around. We made a really good banana rum with them, because I read that the pirates used to make rum from bananas. They wouldn't go to an island and harvest a load of sugar cane. They would bananas, easy to pick, easy to ferment, you know, and you could be off the island in 4 or 5 days having, you know, a whole load of rum. So we learned about pirate rum, and I think Louisiana, they still have this banana rum tradition down there. And so that was 2,000 bananas made 50 bottles of rum. So every little shot has like, you know, it's like 2 bananas in it.
So we went to the local market here and just bought every single brown banana that we could find. Was it? It's the end of the season or something? I can't remember.
But these guys are master rum makers. They're really, really good. They know, really funky. You know, and it's all Hojo. It's Hojo style. It's all the natural yeast from the air.
Yeah.
So they're not adding yeast. It's just fermented with what's in the air.
But we sold out of that rum pretty fast, didn't we? We were selling bottles of it, and we also were putting it into drinks. So I think they're keen to do another batch. So that'd be interesting.
So eventually you opened a second bar, the DeVille's Pad. What was like the thought process behind branching out from the Hula Bula into this other totally over the top themed bar?
We'd always loved the idea of the old style supper clubs, which were around in, I don't know, 50s, 60s and stuff, you know, where it was a destination bar. You could go there, you could have your cocktails, you could have dinner, and then you could watch a band and dance, you know. So basically you spend your whole night there. So that was the sort of concept of it. And we kind of thought of themes for it. And we'd always loved.
It was like we're doing another tiki thing because we
Yeah.
would then be our own competition.
Yeah. And Perth isn't a very big city at all. So, you know, you really kind of had to think about that. But then, you know, we thought of, wow, a hell themed bar. Why not? You know, that crosses so many different genres and stuff, you know, but it had to be a hell, not a rock hell theme bar. It had to be
It was
if the devil had a pad in Las Vegas in about 1965, that was our kind of
Liberace goes to hell.
yeah, Liberace goes to hell.
It's suave.
And we took over an ex nightclub, basically, that I think the girls that had running that had done a runner. They couldn't afford the rent, so this place was empty. And we started building it, and oh my god, I loved that place so much. You know,
was a
it was
year
just incredible, the theme of that.
A year in there, you know, we had to dig through the floor to put a sunken dance floor. We got through one slab, and then we found another slab, and then we had to dig through that.
We literally drew the shape of like a volcano, a lava hole on the floor, and got the builder to carve that out of the floor.
It still totally took the tiki bar method, you know, totally themed cocktails, totally themed food, presented in a very theatrical way, with the staff all dressed up, part of it, the dancing girls, that, you know, it's that total theming that really you don't get anywhere outside of Disney World or a tiki bar. I mean, really, America, I'd been to some places where there was a magic time machine down in Dallas and Fort Worth. There was a little chain of those where every room was different. You know, every dining table, there'd be Cinderella's dining table. There'd be, you know, one that was in a ship and the windows actually moved. And so I'd experienced the American total theming kind of thing through going to Disney World, and, you know, and so we knew kind of how to do it. You know, it's just a question of doing it.
But yeah, I mean, Josh, with his team, you know, they hung stalactites, actually handmade stalactites throughout the whole ceiling. We built a smoking volcano, which was in the middle of the dance floor, which lit up and smoked throughout the night. I mean, we just went to town with it. It was just so much fun. It really was.
Yeah, we had the absinthe machines that, you know, you'd press a button and all these, like very chitty chitty bang bang kind of thing, you know. It would pour you a little drink at the end.
And so we had a chef in there, and we worked with them closely to kind of come up with you know, American diner style food, which kind of wasn't really a thing here at all at that point, was it?
No ribs, no barbecue.
Barbecue, yeah, you know, all that sort of stuff. So we were one of the first people in Perth to bring that in, and as I say, it became a real destination for people to come to. We kind of had a bit of a dress code as well, because people in Perth kind of didn't really dress up to go out, so we would say, yeah, you know, no sports clothes, no trainers,
over 25s code as well, just to kind of just stop the destruction a little bit, you know. But I found very early on, when carving tikis, you know, the South London Pacific, they're mainly foam, and I covered them with this diamond hard plaster. That's the special prop making plaster that should be really hard, but people get drunk. What do they do? Punch the tiki. And I was fixing that. So this in London. Fixing so many times that when we started Hula Bula and DeVille's, we were adding sand to the render, so it gives it a very textured feel. But no one's going to punch that. You know, you got to be mad.
Shred their fist.
It's really rough, and that completely stopped it. Not dead. I mean, I still get one tiki punched out once a year, but especially the ones in the toilets. I don't know. I seem to attack those tikis more than others. You know?
Yeah. So I mean, building a commercial tiki bar is very, very different to building a tiki bar at home. And we often have people coming, oh, you know, I'm building a tiki bar at home. We're like, fantastic, that's great, do it. But, you know, we've got to glue everything down. You know, everything's got to be, you know, immovable, because you'll have no tiki.
And beyond that, they've got to see the screw. If they can't see how it's held down, they'll grab it and wiggle it and wiggle it and wiggle it and push it and shove it and until they. But if I find if they can see that there's a screw head or see a cable tie or something, they go, "Oh, I can't really take
People
that."
love to take a souvenir home from a tiki pie, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's yeah.
But
And
that goes right back, doesn't it? I mean, you know, in Book of Tiki, he's talking about people, you know, at the ports of call just ripping everything off the wall and out at it. And
which is fine if you're the person doing it, but not if you're the bar owner.
I mean, the thing is when I'm looking at DeVille's, I mean, it is everything up to an 11. It is so stylized. It is so amazing. And I mean, even the entertainment, if I remember reading correctly, you even had an on-call or an on-staff magician. Is that right?
yes,
Yeah, we did.
every day, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
There's a good story about that. We had this magician for a while called Jean-Claude, who was a Belgium guy. And he would be fine at the tables, but he'd get terrible stage fright, you know. And then he worked out he would sort of dress up as the Joker, and that was okay. And then we were recently in Japan, and there was another Belgian magician there. And I said, "Oh, do you know Jean-Claude?" Because he goes, "Jean-Claude, yeah, I tell you, he's dead, I'm afraid." You know, "He's dead? What do you mean?" He goes, "Jean-Claude is dead, but Christine is alive." So he basically transitioned, and now he doesn't have stage fright at all.
Wow. All right.
But
as
Jean-Claude
Christine.
was Australian water ski championship, so that enabled having like pretty big bloody biceps. And Christine is now Australian water ski championship, taken the mantle on.
Yeah. No, we had some amazing bands come through there, didn't we?
Yeah.
We did a whole caveman night with the Neanderthals when they all
Yeah.
turned up there. And Wanda Jackson. Oh, that was amazing having her play there.
Wow.
And we kind of, because she's Christian, we sort of thought, oh, she's going to take one look at the theme of our bar, you know, because we had all these like, you know, life-size devil girls all, you know, done up in
with their
glitter
big,
bikinis and
big
stuff with
knockers falling out.
and we just thought she's just going to take one look at this and just say, I'm not going to play here. She was the opposite. She loved it. She absolutely embraced it. And she just came in and she go, "Oh my God, this is so much fun." You know, I remember when I looked like these girls, you know, and stuff like this. And she was just amazing, wasn't she?
And because we was, you know, Perth's a very square town, we were the only cool place. We did all the big show after parties. So, you know, any big festival events, you know, you'd have all the celebs down there, and you know, I mean, all the good ones as well as all the ones that you're not so proud of. You know,
Some of them didn't want to come in though because we didn't have a VIP room. So
they go,
We're
"Oh,
just like,
the VIP."
she wanted a VIP room, and we're like, yeah, nah, you got to sit with everyone.
But Justin Timberlake did eat 3 hamburgers. So.
Really? Wow.
And Suggs from Madness ended up go-go dancing in his boxer shorts in the cage.
This is so fun.
I mean, again, if anyone has not seen pictures of this place, I mean, you don't need a VIP room. Every inch of that place was a VIP room because of how amazing it was. I mean,
Yeah,
It was absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
I
yeah.
told Her Majesty that, but no, she.
Can I be introduce this? Can I be very blatant and have our book?
Oh, I was
on
actually just about to plug it too.
display? Ching.
A courtesy of you both. Thank you again. Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Some
I mean-
beautiful pictures.
I mean, there's
of the-
I guess I'll the lore of the LuWow. I mean, this book that you both did. I know we're jumping ahead again, but I mean, the photos in here,
Yeah.
remarkable, beautiful. And especially DeVille's, but every single project you worked on, everything is amazing in here. You know, we either can jump into this now or we can wait till a little bit later. Up to you. So.
Well, that's what spurred us on. The photographs and the imagery and everything spurred us on to make the book, because we had thought we've got so many great photos and the stories, I guess, you know, so let's put it all together. Let's document it while we still can.
Right.
It was a great night when I was driving back from DeVille's. We had a big Dodge Coronet 1968 DeVille's pad kind of car, and I was fully dressed as the devil. And I heard a you know, and pull over, wind down the window, and I took a breath and I inhaled my moustache. And, like, the policeman's trying to give me a speeding ticket, and I'm just literally on the floor choking on my own moustache, dressed as the devil.
Luckily, he thought it was funny.
He thought it was funny, and I didn't even get a speeding ticket.
He let you off for that one.
Almost died.
But one of the reasons for doing the book as well was to try and get our little message across to people from not Australia, because, we're sort of well known here to a certain extent in Australia, but I kind of wanted guys like yourself to know what's going on over here, know.
DeVille's really died when we moved to Melbourne. We were looking to open up a bar East Coast. We opened up the LuWow. Still took 2 or 3 years to find a good spot. I opened up the LuWow, and for about 6 to 8 months, we would fly backwards and forwards. Well, there's a 3-hour time difference, so it got really hard. It was really hard going backwards and forwards every other weekend, and so we then moved to Melbourne because it was easier to travel the other way, and that was really the manager of the DeVille's pad bought the Hula Bula as his business. So we didn't have a proper manager in place and weren't there enough, and that's what killed DeVille's really. So just not having
the right management there who kind of really appreciated what we were trying to do.
My life lesson is get a bar that's small and concentrate on that. Don't expand,
and get a good manager. And luckily the manager who did take over the Hula Bula Bar, he's kept it going exactly how we ran it. Same music policy, fantastic cocktails still, hasn't really changed the decor, and hence it's been going for 20 years.
And it's a really nice little soul business still, it's run by somebody who really cares. So
and it's a whole nother generation of people are now coming there because they weren't old enough to drink there originally. Now they're all coming.
And then they come when they're on holiday in Melbourne, which they have to come and see LuWow because it's
I mean that's tough news for us because now we're gonna have to fly all the way out to Australia, see the LuWow and DeVille's. So I mean, sorry, but we're gonna sounds like
Hula Bula.
Yeah, sorry, it sounds like we'll have to make the trip. But I want to talk about. So you say about expansion and everything. So we talked about the book here, which is again the lore of the LuWow. So again, eventually you open a bar called the LuWow. So I want to read a very brief synopsis of a quote. So Sven Kirsten said that the vision for this bar changed Tiki the way that the Cramps changed rockabilly. So I love that because throughout this whole thing,
we love that. That's on my tombstone.
I mean, we're hearing.
You're not there yet.
We're hearing this amazing. We're hearing the story about bringing back rockabilly and garage and surf and everything, and making these beautiful bars. So eventually, the LuWow seemed like a culmination. So I know this is the LuWow 1, and eventually there was another iteration of it. Could you talk to us a little bit about the LuWow 1, what into that, and then how that developed early on?
Well, again, we wanted somewhere that had an entertainment aspect to it, so we had the island village at the front, and then you went through a sort of submarine, got attacked by the creature from the Black Lagoon, and out the back was tiki with claws. The island village was nicey tiki, but then we had a real kind of leopard skin voodoo ceremony, and the drinks would reflect that. You kind of get more your lava flows and stuff in the front bar, but then when you got to the back, we just your real potent kick-ass zombie, and
it's called the Forbidden Temple, the one in the back.
Very Indiana Jones, more Angkor Wat kind of thing, crumbling temple with vines coming down, and we'd run the whole night like every Friday and Saturday we had hula dances in the front bar, and then you'd open the back bar, and you'd just start with some general music, but pump it up, and then the go-go girls would come out in their leopard skin outfits and spears, and then it would go off from there.
A really great thriving music scene here in Melbourne. So there's a lot of bands to choose from to come and play there and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
we'd create bands as well. We go, there's no band doing this. Can't we get a really good ska band together, or can't we get a really good,
garage band, or
a Tom Jones impersonator? There wouldn't be one, so we'd have to try to find someone who wanted to do it.
Friends and stuff, and say, come on, let's get this band together. We want it to fit in with this theme that we've got an idea for a night. So it's good.
Made a Herb Alpert tribute band, and just stuff like that to play.
Yeah, we even have now, we still have people coming to the LuWow that we have now saying that they met their partners in the old luau and stuff, you know, and
we were responsible for many matches.
exactly. So I think the cocktails
mainly
were
with
doing
our
their
ex-male go-dancers, I think.
We had a couple of weddings there as well, which was nice. So
yeah, quite a lot. We had an Elvis guy come and do the weddings, and
yeah,
that worked really well.
yeah.
So I think that's what Sven's referring to, is we've always kept really on top of the music, and B always had a kind of skulls and leopard skin aesthetic to it, which doesn't really exist in the traditional 60s, 70s tiki bar. Totally is a thing now. I mean, if you look at a lot of contemporary bars, there's a lot of skulls and kind of voodoo and pirate stuff creeping in there, but that really isn't there in Trader Vic's or Ports of Call or the Mai Kai or any of those original era ones. In going back to tiki in other parts of the world, in France, they don't have tiki bars; they have rummeries. I mean, now they've got tiki bars, but then so it's an island theme rum-based thing, and they would totally do tiki cocktails, the Bora Bora and the this and that, but not as complete. It's much more island. So I think there's some of that influence in what we do, and it's kind of just a fun jungly island bar, mixed in with a traditional tiki bar, mixed in with rock and roll, mixed in with pin-up glamour, mixed in with like the burlesque and the Tarzan movies and the Bob Hope kind of movies, very, very influenced by the golden age of Hollywood adventure.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of the Cramps. I love the Cramps. And so what was really interesting as I learned more about them and Lux and Ivy as they traveled around is that it seemed that the fans who liked them, some people would hear, oh, this is surf music, or other people would say this is rockabilly. And with that, scenes sprouted up as they went along, because someone would go, I love your music, but then they would say, oh, well, check this out. If you like us, then listen to this or listen to that. I mean, it definitely seems that wherever you were at, whether this was Europe or Australia, people would kind of come to the bar, and it was an inviting environment for both of you to say, well, if you like this, check out other things as well. And things sprouted up, like you're saying, to create new bands, new music, the things you wanted to see, if I'm getting that right.
Yeah,
their whole purloining and recycling, and the Cramps never gave a shit the fact that they were ripping someone off, did they? It was very, very obvious. They wore it on their sleeves, and and it was suddenly okay to do that. You didn't have to be creatively original. You just had to have an original slant on something, So that's
mixing genres as well. So the surf with a rock and roll and the rhythm and blues or whatever. I mean, that's what we've always loved to do. Just mix the genres. It's like it's fun.
Exactly. Yeah. So the LuWow 1 closed in 2016, eventually was revived in 2019. Could you talk to us a little bit about what was it like to revive this bar? Again, at that point, you're reviving kind of a couple different projects like we talked about. And so what was it like kind of going back with a new, fresh vision? Was there things that changed? And kind of what did you consider before?
As we were dismantling the old LuWow, and we sold, I said we went for a pittance really to this crazy Kiwi drag queen called Richard, and I said, don't you want to buy all this tiki stuff? It'd be so good. You could do tiki drag or something like that. And he's like, oh, tiki, it's so tacky. And I just fell on the floor laughing and thought, well, then drag queens aren't tacky, but, that's the whole point. It's tacky, So we put it all in a big
container.
And a lot of this stuff that was in that first luau I'd built for a thing called the Rum Shack in Sydney, one of the fairs they had in Burrell, and Angus Winchester and these people came over to the big rum presentation in Sydney. So I built a lot of stuff for that. So that had shipped down to Melbourne, and now we shipped it all up to Queensland, where we'd bought a little beach shack that's now called the Luau Lodge. So that was almost 2 years' work doing that up and turning it into what it is. We did build big concrete waterfalls, and what then didn't get used up there. By that time, we'd done 3 or 4 pop-up luau's. So again, I'd built up another big load of props and stuff, and what was left in Queensland. And I thought, there's no one had opened a tiki bar in the meantime. We thought as soon as we shut, someone's going to open. You know,
Someone's
I know
gonna
it's such a
take the theme and run with it.
no brains money making idea that people love. It's relatively easy to do a tiki bar as opposed to another theme. You know, if you do a space bar, for instance, that's pretty fucking hard work. You know, but to do a tiki bar, you can have faults and bits falling over and rotten bits and mushrooms growing and rats, and it doesn't matter. It's all it's all part of the it's part of the ethos, you know. And no one had. And we were like, oh, come on. So what I did is I approached a few people I knew that had bigger pubs or, you know, chains of pubs, and said, oh, look, if you've got a bar that's going, I'll come in, I'll work for you. And no one would. No one would. So we found this little bar, had a year lease. It was not going for much because it only had a year lease, and it was vaguely, it was Hana, it was a Hawaiian fish restaurant that had really top end. I mean, like, big money for a piece of fish and prawns, and, you know, totally super duper chef. But they'd failed, and it was, you know, they were just pumping out duff music, and it was horrible. It was horrible. We went there a couple of times before we bought it. So then we had 2 weeks again to flip it. Managed to get all the bare bones in there. A few months later, COVID shut, you know, so we had to shut down. And I had all this staff to employ that had no other income. So I was like, come on, let's really do the place up. So that was when it really took it to the next level, because we had a lot of time, a lot of stuff, and were totally able to bam up the decor. And we'd also learn, don't build a big place is only busy on a weekend. I mean, really, you know, you can have, this is now the current capacity, 50 people. You know, we can be full on a Monday night.
We kind of reflected back on the Hula Bula Bar, which is kind of a perfect little size. It's in the city centre.
Yeah.
So you've got lots of
hotels
and tourists and people walking past and everything. And it's a really manageable size. So you can run it with not too many staff, keep a good eye on it. And that's kind of what this place became. So it's only 45
keep
people
the soul,
big.
you know, keep the soul there. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Tiny. It doesn't
keep the quality
have,
up as well. You get too big, you know, the quality slips. You wouldn't.
It doesn't have windows around it, so you're not looking out at a city. You know, it's complete escapist. You go in there and you are in a tiki bar, a tropical tiki bar.
And best thing about the new LuWow, I mean, of all the bars we built, this is the most. You never know who's going to come up the stairs. We're up a little short side of the stairs, and we get, you know, families with little kids. We get 90-year-olds. We get, I don't know, the granny netball team. You get the drag show up the road coming in. We're near the theatres, so that sometimes the old orchestra will come back from one of the theatres. Every age, every nationality, every sexuality, you know, every whatever, you know, they all come to the LuWow and they all love it, you know, which is really nice. There's not enough of a tiki scene in Australia, enough, you know. Sure, on most nights you'll get some guys, I got a little tiki bar at home, but not enough that would potentially keep us afloat. You know, we have to be much more all-encompassing than.
And without knowing it, the whole Instagram thing, I mean, our bars are so Instagrammable. People come in and just want to take photos of themselves with the decor, with their drink. They want to walk through with their camera and everything. And bam, next thing you know, it's all over Instagram. And then you've got like a whole nother load of people who've seen that come in. So it's just it sells itself.
What happens, you know, really funny,
really...
like the influencers come in, you know, and they all the biggest, creamiest, most photogenic cocktails, you know, pose with them, and then just leave them and have a vodka, lime, and soda.
You know, I've seen that here. I hear that, and here in the States.
If you drink that one, like.
Yeah, they got to keep their weight down.
Yeah, I've seen that a number of times. I've seen that at False Idol in San Diego in California.
Really?
Yeah, somebody came in, took a picture, put it down on the counter. They paid for their tab, and then left. I've also seen that at the Tiki T in Los Angeles, where someone comes in and
Oh, of
takes a
course, yeah.
sip, takes a nice picture, and then heads out. So I think
Yeah.
it sounds worldwide. I think, yeah.
TET is my biggest influence. That was, and Lux and Ivy from the Cramps told me to go there. So, you know, like, you've got to go there because that's our favorite. And I went along and I got picked up by a big group of middle-aged Mexican women, and then and I had the wonderful night, you know. So I've never forgotten the Tiki Tea.
Awesome.
I swear this interview could be 5 hours, because you just casually mentioned that Lux and Ivy told you to go to the Tiki T, which is the coolest thing anyone said on this podcast ever.
Well, we worked with them a little bit on some of their shows. We were doing their
In London,
stage
yeah.
decor and stuff
That's
like
so
that.
cool.
Yeah, they came and spent a whole day with you in the house.
They made a video in my house and stuff. So that's really cool. And then we took hash brownies together and went to see the Chinese Elvis. It was
we did an after party of
Yep.
one of their shows in our house, and Lux had a new toy. It was the 3D camera, and he ran around taking photos of, you know, everybody and the house and everything. And oh my God, I would wish I had some copies of those photographs. So
the
who knows
videos disappeared as well.
the
didn't they?
videos disappeared too, you know. So that would have been great. But it was fantastic meeting them. I mean, gosh, meeting some of your idols is always great.
But you can see how their influences. I mean, you watched the little trailer for Wolfcat Fever. You can see how that's, you know, we're still paying tribute to them now.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you mentioned that Australia doesn't have much of a tiki scene, but what is there? What makes it unique from Europe, from America? Like, what makes Australia's tiki scene, you know, its own?
Bundaberg, no. And look,
to say, really, isn't it? Because I guess we're not.
well, we've so lauded it over everything, I suppose, because our bars are so detailed, and you know, I think that's one of the reasons no one opened another tiki bar or is opening another tiki bar in Melbourne. There was one before we got here called the Tiki Bar, which was in a dance studio, and they'd scooped up a lot of tikis from Smorgies. So they did have some really, really good stuff in there, but it only opened a weekend, and when there was a dance class on, it was a bit erratic. And I think if you look at all our drinks, because they evolved here, they are quite distinct to what I get in America. I mean, if I work with an American barman, we got a Tiki Oasis. The amount of different ingredients that you get in America is, I mean, must get 10 times the choice that we can get here in rums, and a lot cheaper. And a lot of American cocktails are very, you know, it's 10 mils of this, it's 15 mils of that. You know, what we do is there's a bit more bucket chemistry, you know. We do a lot of punches in big buckets and decant them. We do, you know, a lot of pre-prepped shrubs of our own and cordials and stuff.
We're very fortunate here with the fruit and the juices and stuff, you know, being, you know.
Yes, so we're a really, really good
You're
access to really good quality fruit and stuff year round.
Yeah.
You know, and actually very good spices. We use, you know, a lot of saffron and you know, star anise, and you know, a lot of spice in what we do, which is nice. But it's a different thing. It's a different thing. It's funny because I was sitting and chat with Martin Cage or something, and do a beach bum, and we it's all come from the same grog log, but you know, it's all developed differently.
Yeah.
Why is it different? I mean, if you go to Jacoby's, it still has an Aussie casualness, I suppose, you know, and because we all have to cater to of quite a wide audience, that does affect it. Things you gotta have your version of the margarita and your version of the espresso martini, and you know, you've got to do that. Other people come in and just
we've got to, yeah.
You don't want espresso martini.
We've got to have gin-based drinks. We've got to have vodka-based drinks, you know, because, you know, as I say, people walk in and say, I don't like rum, you know, so you got to offer them something else,
the old
you know.
LuWow, we refused to stock vodka. And people would just be so angry. You'd always start a fight. And I mean, now we don't do a lot of that stuff because they're so tiny. The bar's so small. So you say, look, where am I going to put it? I can't have it,
Yeah.
So, and with the fact that, I mean, you get America, you got lots of tropically kind of places down in Florida, haven't you, Louisiana and stuff. So you get that element. I think that would be common to both Australian and. But yeah, I think there's a casualness here that is nice, and an enthusiasm that I don't know if you get if you run out to speak to someone. We get people coming and they're just their brains are so popped by coming into the bar that they just chat and natter away, and next thing you know, they gone to their aunt's garage and pulled out a tiki and brought it down for you and stuff like that. So that's really nice,
I kind of always feel like we're educating people with the music and stuff that we play in the bar as well. So often they'll sit there shazamming records that we play and they just can't find them on Shazam.
Yes.
It's like, but they love it. Absolutely love it. I mean, it doesn't appeal to everybody, but we're very anal about the music that we play. It's a sackable offence if any of our staff play their own, their own playlist or whatever. But generally, our staff love the music we play. So that's a real bonus for us as well.
I think that was a true. I think that was a true record collector thing where if you play something and they can't find it online, you're like, all right, I got them. I think that's it. That's great.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, that's a great feeling.
Well, we just want to thank you both so much for coming on, spending the time to tell us your stories and everything. What's next for you guys? Are you having another wild weekend this upcoming year, or what can people look forward to?
Yeah, well, we just finished our latest film, Wolfcat Fever, which this is like the 4th full-length feature we've made over the years.
And there is a tiki scene in that one. Of course, there's one in every one of our movies.
Great.
The last one had a very good tiki death scene where they go into a tiki bar full of Elvises, and they can kill you in a million different tiki ways. It's really good. It's really good.
So we've submitted that to film festivals all over the world. So
including Baltimore. So
yeah.
So we're just it's a bit of a waiting game with those. Hopefully one of them.
And that basically so much money is sunk into that we have to hopefully get some kind of distribution so before we can put on another Wild Weekend. But
the Wild Weekend is usually every 2 years now in Mallorca, so we'll see what happens next year.
Okay,
we'll see.
Awesome.
And so if people wanted to possibly buy this amazing book that we've been talking about here, or if they want to check out the movies, where could they go to either connect with you all or to stay up to date?
Well, Zombie Zoo Productions is the production company, so you can buy the movies online there. And the book, I think, is available Amazon US. So easy peasy.
Yeah. And anything to do with the bars, have got all websites. And
www.theluwow.com. That's got plenty of leads, and that'll take you onto the Zombie Zoo website, and you can stream stuff from there. And
write to us directly. We'll always answer your emails. And come and visit us.
Absolutely.
And
if you come to us, you've got to fly over like the Caribbean, Hawaii, the Marquesas, Tahiti. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It'll be a long trip for us because we'll have a lot of stops, but we'll make it out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you both so much. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much for your time again.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for having us.
I'm glad we got that going because it was hard, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just even the time difference thing is like, oh.
Exactly. Well,
we've
awesome.
got a great. We haven't shown you the tiki mug that goes. Have we got one here?
Oh, yes.
The tiki mug that goes with.
That's the first Hula Bula one.
That's the first Hula Bula one, which is no longer available anywhere.
That's the old LuWow.
Yeah.
Which is a Mai Tai mug, basically.
That's not tiki. None of these were Tiki Farm because Holden didn't want to do one with a tongue sticking out for some reason.
Yeah, he didn't like the tongue sticking out. And this was designed by what's his name? Rocking Jelly Bean.
Yeah,
Rocking Jelly Bean from Japan.
Wow.
I haven't got another LuWow on here.
Oh no.
No, No, you have to look it online. Anyway, Tiki Farm did us a marvelous job. Finally, it took 10 years.
There is
Again,
finally.
in the back of
there
the
is
book,
a great mug that goes with the lore of the LuWow book. So, which
right here on the
is
last
fine.
page, you can see that.
Yeah.
There we go. So if you want to see this,
there we
go ahead and buy the
it's-
book.
Yeah.
I'll tell everyone to go ahead and buy because this book is truly amazing.
Yeah.
But thank you both
I'm
again.
really glad you guys liked it. It was a labor of love, but I absolutely loved doing it. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, here we go. This one's this was the DeVille's pad one.
Derek Gallagher did that
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Derek Yaniger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And again,
wow.
I saw his publication. Barracuda was a magazine that was, going back to the juxtaposed thing. So one of the first issues of Barracuda had Derek Yaniger on the cover. So we were like, oh, can you do the art for the What Weekend? And then he did lots of stuff for DeVille's Pad and Hula Bula and Culminating. And he did that mug and I think that's the first one he did with Tiki Farm. So that was the first, Yaniger Tiki Farm collaboration. Might be wrong, but think it was, because many more came after that, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think you just set me out in a very large hunt to try to find one for myself for my own collection.
They're
The
beautiful.
other one, Yaniger did this one called Senor Sin that is based on me from DeVille's Pad, where I did the Senor DeVille. So he did this kind of devil head mug called Senor Sin. And I was like,
But we don't even have a
no,
one
I
of
don't
those.
even. Yeah, Derek, I don't have one of those. You bastard.
Well, awesome. Thank you both again so much.
Yeah.
We really
It's a
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Well, thank you guys. Thanks for having us on.
All right, you guys take care. All right, bye.
Thank you again to Josh and Babz for joining us on this episode. We just had an absolutely fantastic and such a fun time chatting with you. We really appreciate you taking the time. I know that it can be difficult to schedule, a meeting cross-continent, but this was amazing and fantastic, and I'm so happy we were able to make it work.
Yeah, thank you again. I mean, not just for joining us, but thank you again for everything that you've done over the years. Again, like I said in the beginning, and like we said throughout the interview, the story of Tiki is so focused on America, but what you two have done to bring it to the world and keeping that spirit alive is extremely impressive. I mean, and you can tell for anyone that was just listening, if maybe not, but really, if you look at the visuals of the things they pull out, this is something that is just absolutely amazing. What they bring to the level of care to their bars, to their establishments, to even their own personal collection. I mean, it is nothing less than truly impressive. We talked about the book during the interview, but make sure you go check out The Lore of the LuWow. That's LuWow at the end. It's available on Amazon here in the US. You can get it very quickly. This book is amazing. It is just beautiful pictures.
Yeah, a lot of pictures.
A lot of pictures. I mean, there are places I wish I was able to go to DeVille's like that. I mean, that place is amazing.
That's gorgeous. Absolutely. So if you're looking to connect with Josh Babz, you can find them on Instagram at the LuWow. Like Ryley said, that's LuWow. You can also find them at theluwow.com, and there you can see the book, see their bar, find links to the other bars like the Hula Bula Bar. Also check out their media production company, Zombie Zoo Productions. All of these will be linked down in the show notes below, so be sure to give them a look and see their latest films.
Yeah, and thank you all again for joining us on another episode. You can find us on Instagram at The Tiki Talk Show, all one word, or Kona Cove _Home Tiki Bar. You can also find us on all the streaming platforms and everything. You can find us on our website, thetikitalkshow.com. Make sure you email us if you have anything going on. If you're interested in coming on the show, we're always happy to talk. And you can do that by messaging us on our email at thetikitalkshow@gmail.com. But yeah, thank you all again. And it's been great talking to you, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
Welcome to 2026.
Yeah, welcome to 2026. But we'll talk to you guys again soon.
Bye.